Welcome back. Yes, indeed. Dr. Austin Nweze joins us now. He's an economist, also of the Pan Atlantic University. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Well, the name and shame. Is it going to work?
Well, it's like a deja vu, you know, and it has not worked. You know, one thing is that we have to understand is that there's a saying in Japan about harakiri, sense of shame. You know, it works in Japan, and where when your name is published like this and all that, you don't need to tell anybody. Just leave a love note for your family, climb the mountain and jump. You know, because your name has been smeared by, you know, your actions. But in Nigeria, there's nothing like that. You know, and the attitude is who doesn't owe? Even the government owes. You know? So it doesn't make any...
We're not asking people to go and commit suicide. That's not the idea.
No.
I mean, people should be ashamed enough or embarrassed enough to ensure that, you know, they don't have this kind of situation, so they quickly run to the banks and see what it is they can do.
That's what I'm saying.
But we saw some of that, didn't we?
Yeah.
We understood that investors were running to the banks to ensure that, you know, or debtors were...
Of course.
Yeah, so we got that.
There are some hardened guys that will say, okay, after all, you know. And again, what about the process of creating this debt? You know, the banks. You know, sometimes you find that you can actually blame the banks for default. Because from the beginning of this transaction, it's obvious that you're making it difficult for the person to pay back. That's the truth.
For instance, give us an instance.
If you're borrowing 5 million, all the laws, everything is, but if you're borrowing 300 million, you know, you're considered, you know, and they'll put all the fees, all the this thing, and all the this thing. Say, how are you going to pay back? Now, I agree that the CBN, the MPC, you know, they have the monetary rate and all that. But in addition to that, there's also costs that NDIC will also take. And that's why the interest rate, by the time they calculate the risk, they maybe 1 or 2%, and cost of management fees and all that. And that's why the interest rate moves from the 13% that the official rate is to 20% or 25%, as the case may be. Now, in adding all these costs, the banks, they have to make money. And they have other hidden, you know, that they have to take care of. So when you give someone 25% interest, where is he going to get it from? You've already staged him this for failure.
Why did he collect the loan in the first place?
Because he's that. So that is, you know, the whole thing is a bit complicated. You see a bank that needs to make money, and they have to trade. And the quickest way to improve your bottom line, to look good, is get this thing. And, you know, you have 200% margin, you know, and you have to share the risk.
Isn't that the mentality that is doing us in? Yeah,
but the banks is not supposed to get involved in all of this. If there are other alternative financial services like venture capital firms, private equity firms and all that, that can take up this risk. I keep giving this example. When ABC Transport, our local transport company, wanted to expand the fleet, banks were falling over to finance, but the man said no. He went to Capital Alliance, a venture capital firm or private equity, and then they put in about 300 million, bought about 30% share of the company.
Why were banks falling over themselves
in
that particular
because the
instance?
pressure. Because when this man was starting another, nobody paid him attention, the banks and all. But when they started seeing that the man is succeeding, then they moved in. So the point is that this man, 5 years, what the private equity firms or the venture capital firms do is after 5 years, they exit. And they'll take the company public or sell to another core investor. In the case of ABC Transport, that's how ABC became the first local transport company to go public. The bank made their money, ABC is still running, and everybody is calm. It's cool.
But if you say the banks don't know what their customers do, which bank would deliberately just go give out loans at the risk of losing it if you don't know what your customer does?
You know, you see, it's not that they don't know what they do. Yes, you know that this man manufactures this, but there's a business. Do you understand the business? Do you understand the business? I was told
do they
of, I
have
don't
to,
know.
or when they
They
look at
have
your
to.
business plan?
They have to, not
I
just
thought
the
that's
business
place
plan.
wherein-
Because, you know, not just the business plan. You need to get involved. I mean, how many of bankers have ever run a business to understand the risk involved? They don't.
And that was part of core banking function?
No, you see, because one is that you don't even need to run a business to, but again, you have to give money to those who understand how to run. And that's why I said getting money directly from the conventional banks.
So how do you understand, or how do you know those who know how to run it if you don't at the business plan stage?
No, at the business plan stage, you understand. But then again, you have to go just beyond. What they do is, look, I'm interested in recovering my money. Well, number one rule of investment is that you must, the return of your capital is much more important than the return on that capital. Even if you're not making anything, if they tell you, oh, it's too good to be true, yeah, it's too good to be true. But no, mana. You know, don't forget. If they propose 200 million, and you know, you need to develop some business acumen, you know, some kind of, you know, to understand or investigate.
Those are the magic banks, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you find that sometimes, you know, the banks are not well. If the banks were well equipped, you know, in human capital, to who understand some of these things, and I keep saying, even if you're equipped, this kind of, our economy will not grow for as long as we keep pushing monies meant for businesses to the banks. We need venture capital firms.
The banks that are seeking, you said they're more interested in getting back their money.
Yeah.
Is that why some of them tend to change the interest rates in the middle of payments?
Of course. You know, something it changes in the environment. They need to maybe a new policy and all that. They feel that, oh.
And they change the agreements that had been reached earlier.
Yes.
Can they do that?
Why?
Of course they do that.
Without consideration?
Without consideration. And then at the point you say, well, our costs have gone up, so we need to adjust this interest rate.
Why are they now publishing the names of the debtors? Because some of these debtors might have been affected by that change in an agreement that was reached earlier.
That's why I said initially that they have been programmed to fail from the beginning. And don't forget that, you know, I remember somebody I know that in those days he was working in one of the banks, and he helped a customer to get a loan. He was expecting something from the customer. When that was not forthcoming, the man just dropped 1,000 for helping him get a loan of 35 million.
1,000 what?
1,000 naira. And you know, the man complained. I said, how can I do all this work and all that? They expect, the point I'm making is that it is possible that some of these people are also, once they help you package a loan, they're also expecting their interest to be covered.
The other part of this,
so when you don't pay back, that's when they begin to.
if we say this strategy of the CBN banks won't work, have we bothered to even think about, look, these are businessmen, international ones, many of them. Remember when you're traveling out, those forms they give to you and tell you, have you faced this or that? So if you deny or make an untrue statement, it could also cost you, as well as the integrity of your firm.
Yeah, but the thing is that we don't have credit bureau. We need to establish a credit bureau, whereby is the job of this bureau, all you need to do as a bank, send the name of the person to the credit bureau. They will investigate and know, okay, what loans have you taken? And even from the list, I think you don't be surprised to see one person appearing in several banks, in the list of several banks.
So wouldn't this help to curtail?
You know, once you have a credit bureau, you know, for instance, I'm the president of outsourcing professionals of Nigeria. Now, what we have done to help our members who recruit and all that is to set up a portal whereby any company, any of our members can post the bad eggs in their company. This thing. If you want to, you pay. You get signed up. If you want to recruit, you have to go to our portal to check, whether the name of that person has appeared on that, say, criminal, this thing. It helps you. So you know the kind of, because the business we run as an outsourcing firm is a business of trust. You can send a staff to the bank, and they'll call you, oh, 1 million naira is missing. The vendor, the outsourcing firm, is liable, to pay. The bank will just, I don't want to hear anything, just pay your staff. So you need to know exactly when that staff is culpable, found culpable. All you do is to post the name of the details on the portal.
What
yes.
If these companies who have been listed, if they have filed for bankruptcy, would have been a different case entirely?
Yeah, you see, because we don't, I don't know how effective our Chapter 11 is in the U.S.
Do we file for bankruptcy here?
Well, it's supposed to be, but, people don't take advantage of it. I don't know. I need to look at that to know whether the bankruptcy law is effective. And, because it's an avenue where you can actually declare. After all, this musician had to declare bankrupt because he couldn't, But that's a way out, for some of these people to actually say, look, I can't meet my obligation. Bankruptcy simply means that I'm no longer solvent. My financial obligations, my income cannot. But all you need to do is that for the next 5 years or thereabout, you don't transact in that kind of business.
Next 5 years?
Yeah, next 5 years.
But you could do something else.
Yeah, you can.
Subsistence basis.
Yes. Then your sins are forgiven and go and sin no more.
So you become creditworthy again.
It will take time again, for you to build that confidence. So because every investment is all about confidence. If you don't have confidence, you can't really invest anything.